Hmm. Hello, Tansi. Welcome back to another reading of In the Search for the Green Valley by Grandmother Gentle Bear. We have some of her artifacts here too, and all the food that goes along with this story. Traditional food, country food. All right, we last left off having a cup of tea and talking about stocking up for the winter. Oh, and the tea is ready, so let's have some tea. And let's begin. It's a beautiful fall morning, and the colorful trees of gold and yellow are highlighted with red maples and orange hues, the colors of autumn. They've moved down the mountains and are now flowing through the once little green valley. And red flashes from maple trees keep step with all the other colors. It's beautiful, a beautiful end to summer and a warm beginning of autumn. I'll ready my backpack for a canoe trip across the lake and a night or two under the stars. And with any luck, and if my arrow is true, I'll get a deer, maybe a rabbit or two, or some bush grouse. It's time to go hunting and complete the winter food stores. My aim was true. An offering of wild tobacco, giving thanks and recognizing the miracles all around me. It's never a great thing to kill another living being, from the smallest of creatures to the greatest. They give you their lives so that another might live. To only take what you need. Have a grateful heart, mind, and soul, and to give thanks each time the animal's meat comes between your hunger and survival. Again, it's about balance, the circle of life. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and I'm part of that circle one way or another. And surviving can become thriving. The smoker is full, and it smokes non-stop for 3 days and 2 nights. Most of this much needed meat will keep me alive through the long winter nights and the months ahead. I take out the meat that's ready and I put fresh meat in, and the smoker goes day and night. Most of the meat is smoked and dried for stores and a few choice cuts to cook over the fire, finishing off with a huge pot of soup that I will eat 3 times a day until it's gone, healthy and cleansing. And I'll dry a few bones for soup for another day, and extra dry some meat to later pound down for making pemmican with fattened berries for extra long stores that might be needed on long hikes, canoe trips, and hunting. Some jerky will hang from the cabin rafters and some stored in baskets. I'll continue to hunt throughout the winter, including rabbits, grouse, porcupine, and maybe a fatty beaver. And their furs will keep my bed warm and cover window drafts, moose hide for mittens lined with rabbit fur, and a long braid of hide leather attached to each mitten and fed through each sleeve, an old trick for not losing a well-needed mitten on the winter trail. Fur-lined, ear-covering hats for winter winds and biting cold, and a smaller hat that lets me hear Le Forêt, but still keeps me warm. Hide and fur-lined boots and leggings, finished off with a thick moose hide coat almost to my knees, with bits of fur around the collar, cuffs, and hem, with large antler toggles for buttons, and plenty of pockets inside and out, heavy and warm. And when I see that tea ring from where Grandmother Gentle Bear's teacup sat while she was writing, in many of these pages you'll see that teacup, the teacup mark. Time to restock the log pile for firewood. About 3 cords of wood in the small wood shed and another 2 cords of wood in the big wood shed. Father said a cord of wood is the easiest way to count if you can get enough wood together to go through the winter. I'll haul in enough logs for about 3 more cords of wood. Then you know you'll have enough for the winter. Plus, if I make another large kill, I'll need some wood for smoking and drying the meat, so I'll also store up some alder, but not too much. It's best used fresh. The bush is no place for the lazy. Some planning must be done to live with freedom, or you won't make it. You know what I mean. Some old bushman or hunter will find your bones laying in your bed in your cabin, maybe because you froze to death, or maybe because you ate some bad mushrooms. Old stories of people in the bush, they keep a dry stash of toxic mushrooms in their later years, just in case. A broken bone can be a long, painful death, and infection can make your mind a fever of delusions. Now I have medicinal plants here that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube. They're in the book. Another canoe paddle around the lake and maybe up the creek. More foraging and hunting and exploring. A bit more birch bark for a few more baskets and berries and herbs to fill those baskets. It feels good to get my needs met and then some. Mother Nature provides. You just have to get out there and get it, find it, and get what you need. And only take what you need. Remember what each season can provide and use that like a clock. A clock, a gauge for each season, for your needs and to store up for winter. And let's remember, spring is the only time we don't think about winter. If a storm rolls in and you can't leave your cabin or camp for 5 or more days, you'll be okay because you're always prepared for whatever might be around the corner. My paddle knows this water. It's comfortable like old friends, familiar and safe. The water is cool and calm. The canoe slides across the water, smooth and quietly. The yellow, golden, and orange of fall in all its splendor. It's a time of change, and my senses are taking it all in and loving it. The smell of leaves rotting on the ground, and squirrels running here and there with their winter stores. I'll have a cup of chaga with honey, and it'll give me a bit of warmth and energy for my old bones. Well, not that old. Not a cloud in the sky. It's warm with a bit of wind, and that wind carries a chill. It makes a fire, I'll make a fire and set up a lean-to for the night's sleep on the ground. A bit of dry meat, some greens, and some wild wheat bannock. That's the country meal you'll need after a day of paddling and foraging. I'll set a few snares and check them in the morning. Maybe a rabbit or two, maybe a grouse. I have the bow ready for small game, and the bobber just jumped, and a fish on the hook will be great on the fire. Night comes early in the mountains, and the forest shadows tell me today is done. The time for rest and sleep. A few more twigs and branches on the fire. A few more for the night ahead, and tomorrow will be another day. And what a day and morning it is. Three rabbits in the snares, and with my slingshot I got 2 grouse. I know some people pull off the skin and wings and just cook and eat the breast, but not me. I'm saving feathers for a pillow I'm making, and I don't mind plucking those little wings. They're delicious. It was a bit of work to clean and stretch the little rabbit furs that I'll make into warm hat for winter. 1 rabbit hanging whole and gutted, 1 rabbit cut up and in the stew pot with some celery and onions, and 1 rabbit roasting over the fire. It's always good to be back at the cabin and find it just as I left it, and as usual the little songbirds welcomed me home. Even the limping little fox came out to greet me with a loud squawk that sounded like the screech owl. It feels good to be missed. We all ate really well for the next few days. Fresh rabbit meat was a nice change from smoked dried deer meat and dried fish. One grouse roasted over the fire and one grouse hanging whole gutted for another day. See here in the baskets, there's dried pine nuts, pemmican, other nuts, rendered fat, tallow, sweetgrass, venison, deer meat, cup, bowl, spoon. Whenever I can get fresh meat instead of eating my dried stores, it boosts my hopes for making it through the winter, and it's a nice change of pace. I'll be doing more fishing too. Fresh fish is great and again keeps me out of the food stores. And once the lake freezes over, then I'll be cutting a hole in the ice and still fishing. In the meantime, I'm building a lean-to. A new lean-to for a kitchen near the lake shore. The old kitchen was too close to the cabin. I've now used that for storing wood. I want this kitchen further from camp. It means less chance of attracting bears, hungry bears, and other predators. It makes camp feel safer. I can see the cabin from the new lean-to kitchen on shore, and I can see the kitchen from the cabin and the campfire, just far enough, but not too far. I think we're going to end there for today, and next time we'll continue with chapter 9. That was some good reading and some good drawing of the baskets and the food stores and the rabbit pelt and the canoe. Yeah, I like that. Whimsy. Well, thank you for joining me. We tried to keep some authentic items on the table here. We've got sage burning, cleansing, cedar, and also sweetgrass. We've got dried berries, venison, dry fish, rose hips, mushrooms, and some artifacts from the family. And you'll notice the art on the guitar and on the hoodies and t-shirts. You'll find a link to the artist below. And as always, remember to be kind to nature and go into the forest as often as you can. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. It helps with my algorithms to grow this small channel. And comment. I'd like to hear what you think of the stories. Maybe you have a story of your own that we can tell later in one of the videos. And definitely look up the artist and go to the website below and check out his art, one-of-a-kind wearable art.